call Bryson DeChambeau out there. So let's show him how we living in here.
Well, don't get us in trouble too much.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Beyond the Green and everybody tuning in virtually. We appreciate y'all. I'm Doug Smith, and this is my co-homie, Will Lowry. Will, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing, man. You know, I got my hat backwards, my hairline's intact for right now.
So they don't know how bad it is, though.
It's not even a hairline. It's just like it's a hair dismissal. Like it just dismisses itself. But you know what? I'm so happy that you guys are here today. And actually, the guy that kind of introduced us, we gotta give a shout out to DJ Big Reg right here.
Big Reg.
Now, you know, the PGA Works is a strategic initiative, and its goal is to pretty much diversify the game of golf. That's right. Diversify the workforce. Now, they're going to do it in 3 ways. 1, through scholarship. 2, internship. And 3, this Beyond the Green initiative thing right here. So give me a round of applause for PGA Works. Now, today we're going to explore the workforce. We want to hopefully you guys pick up on, you know, how the game of golf works, how you can make money in the game of golf, how you can be part of the game of golf, and more importantly, you can help you find your voice. There's some panels that we're going to have here that can be pretty much informal and kind of help you on your career. So, Doug and I actually.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot I was up here. I'm here.
Yeah, we kind of did our thing on the networking space, and we are making some moves in golf.
I feel like
pretty much Doug is making moves in golf.
You making more moves than me. I'm just.
Well, give me my 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll let you start.
You got a clock right here. Go ahead, take it.
Okay. Well, Doug Smith is a PGA Tour broadcaster. One of the only African American broadcaster.
I am the only black broadcaster on the PGA Tour.
Round of applause, everybody.
That sits in the analyst seat. But look, while you give me my flowers, Will Lowry has a cartoon in golf he's working on. He's got a movie that he's written. He's got a show on Golf Pass called Home Course Advantage. Go watch it. It's behind a paywall, but it is free. And we do a podcast on Golf Channel, which is, you know,
called Beyond the Fairway, everybody.
Yeah, so if y'all hear us say Beyond the Fairway instead of Beyond the Green, that's why. It's very hard. I'm trying to figure out if we're going beyond the tee box next. So we got some stuff. Where my golfers at? Can golfers give me a round of applause real quick? Okay, we got some golfers. You're not clapping. Coach, get him clapping. Get him clapping. Do we have any golfers in here, please? We're at a major. I love that. Well, we got some thank yous to get to.
We do. At first, I need everybody to download the Hi Hello app. That is that?
It's about to pop up.
It should be popping up.
2, Beyond.
Okay, well, just download the Hi Hello app.
There it is.
There it is.
See,
thank you so much, everybody.
You heard my countdown. I appreciate that. So look, networking in this game is extremely important. So this app is designed for all of us to stay connected. Y'all get access to Will and myself. We speak to everybody. It's kind of like a DM, you know what I'm saying? So you can slide in the Hello app instead of people's DMs now, so we can try to create a network so this industry, this championship, this nation can look more like this room.
Wow. Go get the thank yous? Yeah, go thank you.
Go ahead. All right, so while we're here, we got a lot of people to thank. Number 1, we got to thank the PGA of America. Go ahead and give it up for them. And the PGA of America staff. PGA Reach and the PGA trustees. We appreciate you, President John Lindert, as well as Vice President Don Ray, Secretary of the PGA of America, Nathan Carnes. Nathan's in the building. I don't know where he's at, but he's here. Showing up matters. I appreciate that. And you know what? Thank you all and your parents and your coaches, whoever got you here, because we're going to have an interesting conversation with some leaders here in the area. And I'm excited about it, Will.
Yeah, I'm going to learn something. I always think that every time we have a panel discussion, I have a new wrinkle in my brain. And when we were in Birmingham, we did PGA Works. We had talked to some wonderful panelists. And I think I'm that much smarter. So I'm going to learn something today as well.
He's lying. Cap. That's all cap. All right, so but hold on. Before we get to our panel discussions, I do want to welcome up a good friend of mine. He serves as the executive sponsor for PGA Reach, Mr. Jeff Price.
Thanks, Doug. Good morning, Rochester. Let me hear it. Good morning, Rochester. Thank you all for coming. We're so glad to have you here at Beyond the Green. Welcome to Oak Hill. Welcome to the 105th PGA Championship. This is going to be a great day for you to learn about the golf industry and create opportunities. I want to take a second to start, and I'd ask all the PGA fellows who are here, just stand up real quick. These are folks that I hope you get a chance to talk to today. They are working in the golf industry right now. Thank you guys for all that you're doing, what you did yesterday at the Hope event, being here today. But there's an opportunity for all of you in the room to engage with folks that are learning in the golf industry right now, creating opportunities that would be there one day for you if you want it. So 3 things for you today. Number 1, it's a great opportunity to listen to some amazing speakers. Second, be ready with great questions. And number 3, if you want to have some fun, you're going to go over and check out that sneaker wall over there to see what's coming from our friends at Nike. So listen, have a wonderful day. On behalf of the PGA of America, our board of directors, the 28,000 men and women who grow the game every day, we want to make this game look more like this room, as Doug and Will said. And by you listening and engaging today, we hope that can happen. And hopefully in 10 years or 20 years when we come back to Oak Hill, you'll be a part of this great golf industry. Have a great day, everybody.
Did y'all see Jeff steal my mic from me? Just absolutely snatched it. Sorry, I'm going to let you slide on that one, but my mic back, man.
I don't know, when the music was playing, he wasn't Jeff Price, he was just Pizzle. JP was in the building. All right, so again, you heard me mention about our panel discussions, and we have some great guests that kind of help inform us and get us going in our personal and professional careers. So some of the things that we want to grasp is that if people don't know what we stand for, how can we expect them to stand with us?
That's right.
So with some of the snap, you must
I
be
like that.
you a poet.
That's it.
You a
there
poet?
with it.
Yeah, only poets do the snap fingers.
I appreciate it.
I love it. So no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, everybody. So we have a beautiful panel discussion here, and let's introduce them. Let's bring them to the stage.
Why not? All right, our first panelist, please welcome to the stage the Senior Director of Diversity and Inclusion and the business partner at Tesla. Y'all heard what I said, at Tesla. Miss Kendra Brim, come on up here.
President and CEO of United Way of Buffalo and Erie County, Miss Trina Burris.
PGA Reach Western New York trustee, Mr. Royce Woods. Yeah, Royce, get on in here.
And Senior Vice President of People and Business Administration, Miss Christy Joseph.
Christy. DJ Reg got it going in here, don't he? Big Reg. You can't call him Little Reg. That's Big Reg.
Yeah, Big Reg, he turned the air conditioning down too.
Well, it's so nice to have you all up here with us, and I'm so proud of y'all as where you've gone in your careers and the hurdles and the hoops that you've had to jump and the tenacity that you've displayed. But we're talking about connectivity, networking, standing up and standing out, finding your own unique voices. And Kendra, how have you found your voice through all of your working trials and tribulations?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. This is a really great experience just to connect back to the community. I always say that we can sit high up in a C-suite, but if we don't bring it down and connect to the community, then it's not for anything. So thank you for allowing me to be here today. Where have I found my voice? For me, it's collecting experiences along the way, right? So for me, I did not start off in golf. I was a basketball player, y'all. Like, I played basketball my whole entire life.
I'm here putting jumpers up.
Yeah. Went to college for basketball, and so for me, that's where I started to gain confidence on a bigger platform. But for me, collecting those experiences along the way and those stories, right? So I never started off in diversity, equity, inclusion. It really wasn't a thing up until probably 2020. But my experiences from traveling overseas, basketball afforded me the opportunity to live in Australia. I lived in Thailand. I coached basketball in Thailand for a long time. And I was able to bring that back to the States and bring that home to Buffalo, New York, and really just create my passion and my purpose and find my voice along the way. And I know we'll get into this a little bit more, but whatever you do, have confidence, right? Lead with integrity, number one, but also to have confidence and know who you are. Me personally, walking on the greens today, I don't necessarily always see myself, but because I have confidence in myself, I know that I belong here. So that's also helps me tribute to my voice that I have today.
Hold on, you in a room full of golfers. You was walking on these greens today?
Oh, not on the greens, but like walking through the, the pathways and
Wait, hold up now.
I told you I was a hooper.
I know, but you was walking on the greens.
No,
I'm
not the
just.
greens.
I think she'll walk over you and hooping too, though.
You know what? That's not up for discussion, Will.
So
I don't appreciate it.
when we talk about finding your voice, and it's a broad question, Ms. Joseph, but I want your perspective because you are in a lot of things. What does finding your voice mean?
So for me, I think finding your voice means being authentic to your true self. So I can say through my career, my journey, and I did play golf growing up and played all the time with my father. And there were many rules back then for young girls on courses. Had to get off courses at certain times. So, I grew up in many different education situations as well as different industries, and I felt that I had to act a certain way because I was a young female at times and in many different maybe male-dominated industries or different industries, and I realized for me to be able to be the best I can be and to be the best for the organization and for all the team members that I work with, it's for me to bring my whole self. So for you to be truly successful and wake up every day and know who you are and be able to make the best impression and impact in your community and your organization and all the people you work with, be your authentic self because that's why you're here and that's how you make the best impression.
Well, Ms. Trina, though, how we're talking about finding and using it as the leader and the CEO of the United Way, how do you empower others to either find their voice or find their confidence, as Kendra said? And Royce, I'm coming to you with the same question after that. It's just how do you help someone do that?
So I think, representation matters. So it's important for people to be able to see themselves in others' opportunity. When Kendra mentioned confidence, I will say, and nobody ever believes this, but I am introverted. I am incredibly shy. Only my family knows this, and everybody else thinks I'm lying. But I have been tested. I am really, really shy. But it really is about faking it till you make it. And so putting yourself in situations where you are not comfortable, and then eventually, it just comes. It's just natural. And so what I'm able to do during the day is one thing, but what I need to do to take care of myself after I've done that all day is critically important. But really, just because you may feel that you are not capable, you do not have the voice, you don't know how to do it, that's just a moment in time. That's just a moment in time. But with practice and dedication, you can do anything you want. You will, however, be underestimated. That's my new word of this week, underestimated. You will be underestimated, but that does not mean that it's true. That means you're a threat. That means you are capable. That means there's opportunity there for you. I did not wake up and say, I never told my parents I want to be the president of United Way. That just wasn't a thing. But it happened based on practicing and doing those things that I wasn't comfortable doing.
How do I encourage others to be comfortable and support in this space? I would say first, incredibly honored to be sitting on a panel with these distinguished women from Western New York. I'm honored to be here. First African-American male to ever hold the trustee position for the Western New York PGA.
Hold on, say that one more time.
Yeah, say it one more time.
First black man to ever be PGA Western New York trustee.
Let's hear it for him. Congratulations, my brother.
It's an honor to break that barrier for our community. Third, quick shout out, we got Ellie L. Rodriguez in the back, one of the best golfers in Western New York, one of the best amateur golfers in Western New York, breaking glass ceilings.
We're gonna have to check those receipts, Royce. We're gonna have to check those receipts.
And then lastly, my beautiful family that's sitting here in front of me, my gorgeous lover, Stephanie Rivera, our kids. As I break these glass ceilings, I really try to utilize these platforms and these opportunities to tell you all it's okay to be authentic to who you are. It's okay to be, to make mistakes along the way. that there are a lot of people that love you and care for you and want to provide support to you. But echo what all these ladies have said on the panel in regards to, we are at a time in our country where our diversity is being embraced, where they are asking for our input. So be confident in who you are and never feel like you have to fit yourself into any corporate box. Be organic to yourself. And as that starts to become more natural and your confidence builds in that regard, like your capacity will grow.
Speaking of capacity and breaking ceilings that you just mentioned, how are you using golf or the power of golf to build community?
Like Kendra, I didn't grow up playing golf. I grew up in an inner city, poor black community that was like saturated with drug and alcohol abuse. I had a mentor introduce me to golf as I started my career in banking and finance in my mid-20s. And I have always utilized the game of golf to break down racial and social equity barriers. As one of the few people of color that was playing golf in the Pittsburgh area where I was born and raised, it was not uncommon to deal with that racism and prejudice on a golf course. And I would always feel it, on the driving range or on the chipping green. But when you get me out there on the course, though.
Is that where it was?
Right? It's funny how golf has a way of kind of being a nice, even middle ground for people from different walks of life. Over that 4 hours that you're on the course, you're able to really build and relate to people that otherwise you really don't have other things in common with. And I've always used that game and that experience to not only introduce myself to them, but to show them black brilliance, black excellence, to change the perception of how some people in our world, in our community, view women and view people of color.
Well, hold on. How is your golf game? You said some powerful stuff right there. But if you go out there and shoot 98 now, you
shoot 98 with some Jordans on, they're gonna talk. They're gonna talk about you. You gotta be clean.
Factual.
I'm cool, man. I can hold my own out there. I'm not as good as Eliel Rodriguez back
Y'all
there.
hear how vague?
I'm not
Y'all hear how vague he is? It's
but
all
I'm in the low 80s. I'm doing my thing.
Hey, that's all right. But that's respectable. But having like that level of the ability, because you can break 80, you've shot in the 70s. You could get out there and practice. But you said something interesting that I want to kind of dive into, because in my own experience as a broadcaster, especially when I first started, I tried to have the big broadcast voice and try to sound like I thought they wanted me to sound.
Brian Gumble, what it was.
We'll just mess my whole point up. Y'all see how he does me? But no, I tried to fit myself into a box early on, and you said fake it till you make it, and I've lived it. But from their seat, that's not something that really, my mama would have never told me that advice growing up, fake it till you make it. Can we talk a little bit about, and as it relates to confidence, what does it mean to fake it? We ain't talking about go get a Rolex for $50 that's not faking it till you make it, but let's talk a little bit about what you meant there, Trina.
Thank you for giving me a chance to clarify, because really what I'm talking about is just because you don't feel confident doesn't mean you can't project confidence.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right? So it's just what you're projecting until you really, really find that comfort in you to not be afraid to talk to people and to learn and try new things. I'm definitely the least exposed to golf on this panel, and a lot of that was because I was shy and afraid. I didn't see anybody that looked like me. I was in banking. I was already hard as a woman. I was young, and I was black. It was already so many things that were keeping me from feeling included, despite the fact nobody ever said I couldn't do it, right?
But what are some of the things that you went home to build that confidence? Because I think we can say it all the time, fake it till you make it, but what are some of the things that I can go home as myself, being in my skin, to build myself up from the time I leave at 6 o'clock to report back at 8 a.m.?
And Christy, be ready, because we're coming at you with the same question.
Yes, exactly.
Be ready, he's coming.
So Royce claimed my nephew Eliel, but I'm going to claim him too, and then ask him and his dad not to go home and tell my husband this. But really, it was my husband. he is a total extrovert. He could talk to anybody. And so I would use him as a crutch, you know, and watch how he did it. And I just thought, well, if he could do it, surely I could do it too.
Did you just compliment your husband in public?
That's why I asked my family not to tell
I'm just making
him
sure I understood where we were
what
going.
I said. And if you tell him, I'll deny it. But I did. I really need to watch. And so I would say this, that mentorship that he was giving me, although I was never telling him that's what was happening, is very important. So as the senior statesman up here, it's always that people are watching you. People are always watching you, no matter where you are, whether or not you're pre-career, in the middle, or closer to the end in sight, like I might be. You're always being watched. And you can always watch, and you can always take away. Oh well, okay, that was received well.
I really appreciate that
kind
point.
of thing. The senior statesman point.
No, I didn't say that. See, but yeah, I like that one too because you know when you're the senior statesman.
I mean, I'm confident, right? I got to keep it real.
Well, as an introvert, it's actually very interesting being up here because this is probably not the easiest thing, but. You're faking it till you make it. I can dig it.
I fake it till you make it, right? Taylor Hunter asked me to do something, so I'm going to do it, right?
Christy, let's talk about faking it till you make it.
I mean, I would say that it's really important to be self-aware first. So if I were to go home and say, you know, to my children, right, what can you do today that'll help you tomorrow to be better? Truly understand who you are and be proud of all the pieces that make you who you are, but then also surround yourself with people who are better at the things that you need to develop and you need to learn, and be open and authentic and learn from each other. That mentorship that we mentioned is so important. It's impossible to be everything to everybody. So if you're true to who you are and you surround yourself with a trusted group of people to help you be better, or just lean on them when you need help and say, I am not good at this, help me out. That's a way that you can really become, you know, stronger, learning, being open, and it's okay to not always know everything, and be confident and say, I'm not sure, can you help me out?
You know, I want to kind of switch it up just a bit. You know, being head of DEI, and we know what DEI looks like, but I think companies are having trouble to grasp what DEI feels like, right? So, you know, how are you creating the culture to make things feel inclusive?
So that's a really great point, right? We can say diversity, equity, inclusion all the time. We can define it, we can say it's important to us, but unless when you walk in somewhere and you feel that you can truly be who you are and you feel that you belong there, you can't say that you're truly focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. From our perspective, we kind of broke it down. We wanted to understand where all of our staff felt. What are we doing well? What aren't we doing well? And we really, instead of a small group of people saying, these are the things we need to focus on, we went to everybody. You know, tell us, what do we need to do? How are we performing? What can we do better? And we really focused on areas that were important to everybody. And we identified that through all of our staff. So we focus on our people, we focus on our culture, and always our community. And within that, we look at ways to educate, we did listen, learn, love sessions to bring out like people that can talk and help us understand and go where other people are as well. So it's being open, it's listening, it's learning, it's being it's okay to ask the uncomfortable questions and ask people how they want to be, you know, referenced or called, or let me learn about your culture. You have to open yourself up. So from my perspective, I'm hoping, and I know there's a couple people in our organization here, but we really want everyone to bring their whole self. And that is asking the challenging questions, being who you are, challenging what we're doing to help us all be better.
No, you know, it's a really good question, Will, because I think, you know, even in our spaces, trying to understand what it feels like.
Yeah.
And Kendra, I'm going to ask you, from your vantage point in the efforts that you do, what does, and I'm sure it's probably similar, right? DE&I work is similar, but I feel like some of the tactics or strategies are different from company to company. Kind of what are the things that you're a part of, either at your company or in the community, that kind of echoes Christy's point?
Yeah, so diversity, equity, inclusion is not easy, right? Because you're breaking down the walls, you're breaking down silos, you're asking the difficult questions, right? And so if you're not really getting at the core of what DEI is, then you're not doing the work. And so, for example, a lot of people may look at diversity, equity, inclusion and may leave out the equity inclusion part. Like
I was going to ask you that too.
we have diversity. Look around this room, right? We have diversity. But do we have equity and inclusion? So the way that I approach it is looking at it as like a house, right? So equity is really the foundation. If you don't have equity, then you don't have diversity and inclusion at all, right? So if equity is your foundation, and if you're building up from there, you're building your house, right? You know, house has a strong walls, strong foundation, then you can add the diversity and inclusion piece. But you cannot look at them in three different things. So you have to bring them all together. And so that's really what I talk about in the community. That's what I talk about in my job, is the equity piece, right? And what does that look like? How many people got to, not necessarily the buses that brought you here, but how did you get to the bus? Did someone drive you? Someone drive you to the bus? Did someone take Uber or ride share to the bus? Yes, no? Yep, okay. Some people may have biked to the bus, right? But we know that once you got to the greens or beyond the green.
I was coming back.
I know. You took the bus here, right? And so it's really having, again, that equity piece of it, right? So everyone arrives to the place at a different point, but how do you get to it together? And that's the inclusion. So that's some of the work that I do and really challenge people in the community to think about, is not looking at three different things, but really looking at how does it all work together. And then from there, you can add voice and power, which is the inclusion piece, and then the diversity will come.
But, you know, as D&I, each of you, I would love to know, how do you know you're succeeding, though? How do you know you're winning? How do you know that we are on a upward spiral?
Oh, I can answer that question.
I want to hear it.
Everybody's going to get a chance.
When people start pushing back and when people start challenging their privilege and power, that's when you know you're doing something right.
Say that one more time, please.
Yeah.
When people start pushing back and you're really challenging their privilege and their power, that's when you know you're doing something right. And again, that's not it's not easy, right? It's not easy. But that's when you know, okay, we're making strides. We're not necessarily there, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion is a journey without a destination. So you may not necessarily arrive there, but you're pushing for the next generation. For all you guys right here, we're pushing for you guys so that you don't come against the same struggles that we're coming against.
So going back to the networking portion, is how so important to network even within your own space, because I know each of you have had maybe programs that you guys want to implement. So talk about how do you implement some of the programs when you're getting so much resistance?
There's safety in numbers. So
explain that. What do you mean by that?
So I know Kendra and I know Royce. And although we've never worked in the same space, when we've had things that we wanted to get done, we could call each other and say, I'm doing this. What are your thoughts? I know you did something similar. Or I'm starting to meet that resistance. So Kendra is a diversity, equity, inclusion professional. I'm a leader that knows it's important. So there's things about it that I don't necessarily know academically beyond like my life experience. So I have to sort of phone a friend, right? Or if Royce calls me, I have to be committed to taking his call and making the time and taking the space, because I know that if it's going to get better for the community as a whole, then we've got to spread it out. We've got to be on the same page. We got to be around, I think you mentioned being around like-minded people, or people who encourage you, or people who understand the assignment, right? And so that's critically important.
Sorry, I'm really just listening and digesting everything, because I think implementation is so hard. And you guys know what ROI is? You might know what ROI is. Somebody stand up and yell it. Go ahead.
Go ahead, poet.
Return on investment.
That's right.
All right. Matter of fact, we got something for you for that answer later on. All right, we got you. And some snaps. But when we're talking about, and Will kind of alluded to it, when you do get that resistance, I'm sure you all have bosses, except some of us, boards. Okay, you got boards or bosses.
I got a board boss.
We live in this culture of numerical data, right? I need to know from a numerical perspective how this is doing. How do you answer that question in your spaces, especially as it relates to your efforts with DE&I? How do you keep your job or prove that you're doing your job? That's a better question.
It's not always about the numerical data. And that's where there are things that you can measure and there's things that you can't quantify to that perspective. But what you can do is see how people are feeling, see if people are staying in the organization, if productivity is up, if people are hanging together outside of work, if people respect each other, if they're having respectful, constructive discussions, not the everybody's saying yes, but if we're in a space that you can challenge each other and challenge each other's opinions and appreciate each other's differences, that's the immeasurable piece that'll help an organization be successful. There's quantifiable pieces around data, but that's not the only, that's as you were saying, it's really, that's that piece that, okay, we can have diversity, but if you don't have that belonging and inclusion, that really means when you walk in, you feel the energy of everybody. That's the immeasurable, but that is where the productivity happens, and that's where you'll see it in the bottom line. It just takes time.
But Royce, how do you? I see the I guess the non-tangibles of it, but are there tangibles? Are there things that can we go in and say we have A, B, and C in from this culture or economic background, socioeconomic background, and then we've increased it to this one? Is that a way to measure diversity?
And before you start, because the reason why I'm glad he's asking that, because I was new to the D&I space, and I'm the guy that want to plant the seed today, and I want to see this thing fully harvest tomorrow. So what are some of the I guess the measurements that we can kind of realize that we're going in the right direction?
I've built my career on advocating for economic justice within the banking and finance industry. And it is an industry that is historically undiverse. And I do believe there are a lot of tangibles that I can point to. I want to say it's something by like 2040, the minority will be the majority within this country. We are incredibly powerful. Well, we have incredible spending power. And these are things that we can raise awareness on to the powers that be to say, hey, let's get out in front now. And there's no better example of that than what is happening in the game of golf. As far as like seeing tangible growth. I'm incredibly proud of the PGA and the golf world. I remember vividly, 10, 15 years ago when I started playing golf, the only thing that was available was the corny golf shoes. And you see how much that industry has grown and developed. And the apparel has really grown and developed. And, let's be quite frank, like they're not doing that out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing that because there is a market there. That market is growing. That market is becoming more powerful and more affluent. And there's money to be made there. And the more that these businesses understand that, I think that the more organic, the more authentic they'll approach DEI efforts.
Staying in the golf space, 2023, where we are in golf, are we on borrowed time to where we are getting the mission that we want to come across, or do you think it is just going to be a brief movement, I guess?
Man, I think we're here to stay. I mean, look at the crowd. All these young, women and people of color that are here involved in the game. It is just incredibly inspiring. I think back like what Tiger Woods has done for the game and where we're at now. I don't feel like it's going to stop. I think that we're going to continue to see minority participation in the game grow, women participation game and grow. I think we're going to continue to do well in this space, and I think the golf world is doing a better job really embracing that and adjusting that, which has historically like not really been always the most accessible and friendly. And I think the success of the Eli Rodriguez's, of the Tony Finau's, all of these people of color in the game is really breaking down a lot of those walls.
Well, that deserves a clap right there, real quick. All right, in our last few minutes, I have to ask, because we're here. You were invited by the PGA of America to be here, and thank you for joining us all. Why golf? Like, golf has made tremendous strides in the DEI space, but why did you make time today to come speak about your efforts in this golf community? And we're going to go bang, 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 and we'll take some questions.
I mean, you could have easily been at a hoop.
Yeah, we could have been
DEI initiative.
Could have been an AAU conference.
Absolutely, absolutely. My knees don't support it anymore.
Oh, okay.
First of all, shout out to, I don't know where she is, Taylor Hunter, right here in the back.
Taylor.
PGA fellow. So Taylor got me up here, okay? So shout out to Taylor. But also, too, back in 2020, like many of us during the pandemic, we had a lot of time on our hands to think and just to also figure out what the next move was in our lives. And so myself and a couple of my friends, we picked up golf. I never thought that I would be in the world of golf. I remember my dad back in the day used to say, you should learn how to golf. That's where business deals are made. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to keep playing basketball. Again, these knees don't support it anymore. So picked up golf, picked up lessons in 2020, and then most recently, Taylor asked me to be a part of the PGA Reach Board of Trustees in West New York. And so now I'm part of that community and very proud to be a part of just some game changers, some forward-thinking people as well. And so for me to be in this space, first of all, I'm honored, but then also, too, it's my duty to continue to break down these barriers so that the next generation can be sitting up here and talking about what they're doing. So golf has afforded me the opportunity to do that.
So I'm stressing because y'all gonna kick me off this stage.
Yeah,
in a
you
minute.
about to be kicked off.
I already know. So for the 30 years that I was a banker, people kept telling me, all the business happens on the golf course, Trina. You've got to learn how to golf, Trina. If you're not gonna be successful in this business if you don't golf, Trina. And I was shy, but I was also like, I love the challenge. You tell me I can't do something because of this thing over here, I'm gonna double down on the fact I'm not gonna do it. So my parents might have referred to that as being hard-headed, but that's another
right there.
another
Hit me with the
panel.
misdirection.
That's another panel. But it took me to become the CEO of United Way, and we sponsor an event every year that's supported by the PGA for a women's golf clinic. And I said, I got it. I mean, I have to do this now, right? It's not about being forced. Now it's again about that representation, right? And seeing what it's about. And I knew I was a CEO. If I wasn't good at it, they weren't going to tease me. So I didn't have that fear either. But so why would I take the time out to do this? Is because I said, right, representation matters, relationships matter, and when you have a relationship with people and they call you, Taylor, you have to go. I have a responsibility to do it. It's no question. There's no question. And I did not wear these shoes across any place on here. I have other shoes.
I was going to say, well, they in the bag. They in the bag. Royce.
Why golf? First, I'm here too because of Taylor. Shout out to Taylor.
Taylor, we're going to have to get you up. She's on the next panel, ain't she?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. We'll get you up here in a minute.
I would say why golf? For me, really two reasons. Like I say, as a young black man growing up in inner city environment in Pittsburgh, I grew up in a community where you survive through aggression. We are taught as young black men in these communities that in order to survive, we have to be aggressive. And I found peace in golf because you can't be a good golfer with that attitude. You know what I mean? You have to really learn patience and finesse. I grew up playing football, and I tried to take that same attitude when I first started to learn golf, and was flinging the ball all over the place.
Don't work.
Right?
No,
It don't work. So you really have to find that inner peace in order to get that ball to do what you wanted to do, which caused me to grow tremendously. And then, professionally, I was the first chief officer, the first black to ever hold chief officer at a $2 billion community bank here in Western New York. And that role would not have been possible without golf. I built those relationships in order to get that position, playing rounds of golf with people who, I had nothing else in common with. And it gave me an avenue and a middle ground to relate and connect with them and show value and diversity.
That's what's up.
It's Joseph.
So golf has been important to me since childhood.
yeah,
so
yeah,
I
you know
golfed
about it.
Yeah, you
all
know.
the time. So I did, but also I will say for me it was helpful because being a young female professional, it helped me kind of build those relationships. So I would keep my clubs in the car. I wasn't typically the person that would get invited for the first foursome, but if somebody just so happened to have a meeting they couldn't attend, I happened to have my clubs in the car. So I would hop on and I was able to meet and have conversations with individuals that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have conversations with. So I strategically kept them in my car. But I think it's very important for all of you and for us to continue. And this is a great sport to have conversations and learn about each other.
Well, let's give it up for our esteemed panel. But I will say this as we close out this first session. Yes, a lot of business is done on the golf course. But you can also disqualify yourself by how you act and represent yourself and your family by how you choose to act on a golf course. There's a lot of people, Todd, that I don't speak to anymore. No, not Todd, I just saw you. There's a lot of people I don't speak to, honestly, because of how they disqualified themselves. I knew I couldn't trust an individual. I knew that's somebody that I didn't want to be in my circle. So it actually works both ways. But thank you all so much. And we'll keep this Beyond the Green rolling. All right, Will, we got some,
Yes.
we got some money to give away
We do.
from PGA Superstore. Shout out to PGA Superstore. We already told the poet.
Yeah, I need to hear a poem real quick before we get up out of here. You got a poem?
He said,
Okay.
Let's see. You can't do that, Will.
Can we put that?
You can't do that.
Huh? Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
he wants to read a poem. No, we're gonna do that when we
We're gonna do that
close up.
later.
We're gonna keep the show on
Hey,
time.
I love how you're ready though.
But yeah, you gotta be ready. And you have to be ready, and I respect that a lot. Will, you got a first question? A little trivia, a little
do I have
something.
the first question?
All right,
I do have a first question.
go ahead. Make it up on the spot.
Okay.
Y'all see Will on the spot right
On the
now.
spot. First question here. I said in the beginning that PGA Works is doing a strategic initiative, and they're doing it in three-pronged process.
Three up.
Right?
1, 2, 3.
They are trying to diversify the workforce in three ways. Does anybody remember the three ways? Just give me one of the three ways.
ways.
Oh, here we go.
One.
Hold on,
okay,
hold on,
that's
hold
it. We gonna. You was ready to give all of them, so we gonna know.
What'd
Give
you
her
say?
the one.
What'd you say? Internship. Correct.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay,
Everybody
Will.
get the second one?
Homie in the back, in the gray hat. We made eye contact quickly.
Damn, look at your poem. Homie in the back, gray hat, eye contact. I love it.
Oh,
All right. Oh,
that was a haiku.
Is this the wrong hat?
No, that's him. Go ahead.
Okay.
I got you.
Scholarships? There you go.
That was the one you was gonna say? Scholarship? What's the third one?
Wasn't it this event?
All right, I'm gonna treat you like it's Jeopardy. Yeah, I heard it's this event, but I need to know what is this event.
Beyond the
There you go. Let's give it up for the folks. It's written right there, cuz. It was over my shoulder, my guy. It's all right, my fault. All right. Well, Will.
Oh, we
You
gotta
not
bring up Rachel Melendez, maybe. Go ahead and introduce Rachel.
All right. And I'm going to ask her this in a few questions, but I want you to start clapping now because this lady was part of the brain trust to create Beyond the Green. And nobody's listening. I said start clapping right now, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel Melendez, maybe. So, I know we just got done talking about standing up, networking, etc. Make sure y'all download that networking app. But I've known Rachel, honestly, y'all, since junior golf. Me and Rachel go back a very, very long time. And before she starts speaking, I gotta let y'all know, Rachel was cold, y'all. Like, Rachel's won everything. And Rachel's one of those people, she's older than me, so don't tell nobody. But I looked up to. So sharing the stage with Rachel is very exciting. So thank you, Rachel. It's good to be here with you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, wow. We've got to get on par. We got to understand the vastness of the golf industry. And you want to go ahead and call everybody up? Go ahead. Let's get some company up here.
Let's get that company up here. Well, first of all, we've probably heard her name 5 times already.
17 times today.
I mean,
already.
Taylor,
where you
come
at?
up here right now.
Taylor done disappeared, went to the back, around the corner.
She was signing autographs.
I know. Can I get my picture? I want my picture with you. Girl, don't do that. Don't do that.
Kate Drimmel, can you come up here, please?
Digital content lead for the PGA of America.
And last but certainly not least, Dylan Gladney, recruiting and member engagement specialist for the PGA of America.
Hey, Dylan left his sponge at home. That's why he put a hat on. You left your sponge, didn't you? That's all right. Nobody gonna say that ever when you walk up on the stage. Where your sponge at?
It didn't make it in the suitcase. That's all right.
Rachel, number one, I'm so proud to sit here with all of y'all, but let's talk about kind of Beyond the Green and its inception, because you played an instrumental role in your previous role. So how does it feel to be a part of your idea?
It is, I feel like a proud mom. A proud mama.
Of 18 dogs.
Yes, a lot of dogs. But yes, this was a program that was thought through very intentionally by the leadership of PGA of America, and I had the great fortune to and really blessed to be able to nurture this into what it is. But this event today wouldn't happen without Cameron Dinkins, who I would love everyone to give a round of applause for.
Cameron! Right here. Come here and wave.
She won't come up. I know her well enough. She won't come up.
All right, I tried. She's over there, y'all.
I'm really proud of her and really how she's taken this event. And I know this event is in incredible hands. But as you and Doug mentioned, there was a level of...
I'm Doug. You meant Will.
I mean, Will.
That's fine. Don't do that.
There was a level of intentionality, which is my favorite word in this line of work, with putting not only PJ Works together, but putting Beyond the Green together. And it wasn't just going to be a career event. This was going to be a deep, immersive event with incredible talent for you to engage with and for you to get a sense of what this industry can be about. Because the representation, we say it all the time, but the representation matters. And for us to make systemic, real, impactful changes, it starts with who is up here and into the next generation. So I'm incredibly proud to still see the legacy of this event go on.
Well, I'm appreciative of your work, and honestly, being funded by this event. I appreciate the paycheck, PGA of America. That's from behalf of Will and myself. And Dylan, we go way back. And Taylor, I'm coming. Matter of fact, forget you, Dylan. I know you. Taylor, how proud are you of, I guess, the community? I mean, you got a lot of praise from some dope people in the last panel, man. How's that feel? Let's start there real quick.
I would say it feels incredible because they are great people, and my goal for this event was to go outside of golf, but how does it connect with golf? And each one of them had some pieces of golf to their story, and I wanted to make sure we highlighted that and to make sure that you guys connect with those people because they're great people. They do a lot of stuff in our community, especially in DEI, and that's one thing I think that the PGA Works, that's a pillar, diversity and inclusion. So that's why I chose those people specifically, and then in our next panel as well. So very excited, very humbled, for sure.
I want to brag on you a little bit as well. Not that you need more, but she's an embodiment of the program, right? So one of the 3 ways that PJ Works comes to life is through our internship/fellowship, and Cameron was a part of it, and you are currently a part of it. And you're a non-golfer, so I feel as though
Hold on, I feel lied to. Wait, she's what?
She's a non-golfer.
Go ahead and do it.
Exactly.
But I did run track. I'm a 2-time All-American, and I broke a school record.
All right, I'm not mad at that. Not mad at that at all.
But I want to know what's next. Like, I hear that there's good things on the horizon for you, so tell me what's next.
So actually, thank you to Rachel. She was one of my references. But my next journey, I will be at Cradle Beach, which is a nonprofit out in Angolia, New York, which is not too far from Hamburg, New York, around Buffalo, New York. and I'll be the communication and development coordinator. So basically, I'll be working with children who are unprivileged in Buffalo and special needs. So I'm excited to create events for them. We actually have an event June 12th, which is a golf event. But my plan is to incorporate PGA Hope, because we allow retreat spaces. So we're going to get PGA Hope there. We're going to get our PGA members involved. So I'm still going to be connected regardless.
And
so.
this is a non-golfer that has now connected golf and come full circle. Yeah. Huge congratulations to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kate and Dylan, I need to understand though, like how have you found your way in golf? Like, I feel like when we talk about this industry, there's so many facets. Everybody always thinks about playing golf. You got to play it. But you two have been players. Kate, I don't know if you're a player because now
I'm a PGA member.
I know. I'm just saying, like now Taylor just told me there's no Santa Claus, so I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean? So, Dylan, how have you found kind of your way in the space? I guess
I would say, there goes my mic. I do want to shout out Taylor because you can use her as evidence that what we're doing is working. That PGA is working.
Works,
right?
It's a hashtag right there.
What Kenny always puts on LinkedIn? Works. And that PGA Career Services is working, which is the department that we support as recruiting and member engagement specialists, and Kate will be leaving us soon. I'll let her talk about that. But her story and the stories of the fellows that we have sitting here is exactly why we're here. It's one, to increase what our PGA membership looks like, to diversify what the game looks like, and to grow the game. But I will say that just like she shared her story, I'm sure that the other 14 or so that you have in the room all have a different pathway. And that's what's so unique about golf, is that no matter where you start, there is always a finish line for you somewhere in the industry.
Okay, but let's talk about your start and where you at. That's what I'm trying to ask.
Absolutely.
I'll be a little bit more direct with you, Dylan.
Okay, I got you. So my start, we made a joke about it at Collegiate Works Championship last week in Birmingham. I actually came from the aerospace engineering industry. I was pursuing
say that one more time. You came from where to golf?
From the aerospace engineering.
Aerospace engineering.
From NASA. Kate, what's the joke that we always say? It's a lot easier to build a rocket ship than it is to swing a golf club, right? For some people.
Well, okay. Keep talking.
But I knew that I had a desire to get into sports. And Scott Kimmick, he's not here, as well as Chris Kalinsky, who's in the back, who's actually from the Western New York section. Let's give him a round of applause for
Chris,
representing.
What's that?
But they laid out the vision for this new recruiting work. And if you look at the other recruiting specialists in the room, and you'll see them throughout the tour, they are from different backgrounds, different age groups, but that's intentional. What you said earlier, intentionality. Intentional because we want to help to usher in the groups that we are bringing in today into the golf industry. And so, like I said, my story is even different from Taylor's as well as Kate's. But I'm here today, and I want to help you understand better how you can have a similar story.
All right, Kate, now we got to hear yours, because I don't know where he went. It was NASA and intentionality, and now we... Okay, Dylan, we're going to come back to you and figure this out.
Yeah, no kidding. And apparently I'm surrounded by track stars. I didn't realize that. I get made fun of by the way I run, so I might need some tips from both of you. But I came from a traditional pathway. My dad was a head golf professional. My mom was our merchandiser. My brothers worked outside services, and I worked in the golf shop. And I really grew up in the golf course and learned how to play that way. But as I was getting older, I went on to play collegiately at the University of St. Thomas. But I had no idea what I wanted to do in the game. Like, obviously, I played it. I really enjoy it. I have a passion for it. But working in golf, what's even out there? I don't know if I want to be a head golf professional at a golf facility. I didn't really like teaching the game, but there's so many different opportunities beyond just those experiences. So as I grew older throughout college and in my internships, I just tried all different things. So
let's stop there for a second. Internships, right?
Yes, internships.
Stay there for a second. Let's talk about some of the things you did to kind of figure out that that's not what you wanted to do and kind of got you to where you are.
good old trial by error. I think I'm a very type A person. I like to make lists of pros and cons of different opportunities. I think I knew I loved working with people. I loved engaging in the game in some capacity. I love marketing, which is now a little bit more so my new role I'm transitioning to. But I think those experiences have really shaped what I'm doing today. And each way and each experience along the way kind of makes you learn a little bit more about yourself and what you want to do more with.
I want to touch on a little bit of what you said. I talk a lot about this, and I think that if anyone saw the sneaker wall in the back, illustrates that our paths are not linear. I'd love for each of you, and Kate, you kind of just touched on it a little bit, but Taylor, I'll start with you. What does that mean to you? Like, what the linear path, you thought you meant something. You thought you were going down a different path. You got into golf, and now you're going down another path. Sometimes I call it a jungle gym. Like it's just not a linear path. And the sneaker wall is intentionally representative. You'll see the lines. They go because of who you're networking, your experiences with. I want to start with you, what that means to you.
So first, I would like to shout out Chris because he actually got me into this role. So big shout out to Chris again.
Hey, no, Chris getting shout outs today. Hey, so
all the flowers.
Lesson learned. If you want a job, talk to Chris.
But basically, with the role that I'm going into, I feel like it's just a step on my resume to grow it because I don't want people to say, oh, you don't have that, but be able to grow my experience to be able to show how diverse I am with working. I think that's a huge thing. And yeah, so like golf is amazing. It was a challenge, but that's what I wanted, was a challenge. So I wanted to be able to build my resume to show that I can do anything that I put my mind to.
But that's crucial what you said, because we do all have to build our resumes. But to have a varied resume is impactful. And Dylan, will come to you because you look at resumes and you look at people and you try to place people. How much value are you giving to that variability that you see that a person can be in any arena and show some type of success?
Well, I guess I always take a look back into how I transitioned, and to understand that there are a lot of skills that are easily transferable, that you learn in different industries and different job experiences. I guess, but what most sticks out is that eagerness to learn, to be coached, especially as future young professionals. Again, Rachel, when you talked about our pathways are not linear, they're jungle gyms. Is that what you called it? A jungle gym of sorts. One thing that I do think about though is following your passion, following your gift. We heard from Andrea Lattimore last week. What did she say? Your gift will make room for you.
Yeah, your gift will make room for you. That got a good memory. That was
right. And so when you follow your passion, although it may not be clear, you'll find something. Just like Taylor has found, just like Kate and myself, how we found something that we're passionate in, and we can continue to inspire. At the end of the day, they'll ask you, who have you inspired, who have you touched?
I think that's where also mentors play a crucial role in that development. I know even in the 20 plus years I've been in a career, I'm still building my network. I'm still accessing my mentors. And I think that just plays such a crucial role. And that's what I love about this event. This is exposing you to mentors. This is exposing you to a network that maybe you really didn't think about. And as Kendra was saying earlier, and I preach this as much as I can, is it's about the equity. And this right here is equitable. This is what is leveling the playing field for us to get into the business and to really see more faces that look like ours. And then speaking of that nonlinear path, I know, Kate, you're in a new role. Tell us about that role, because I feel like with content, people like content. We are digital natives now. Content. You have to move at the speed of culture. What does that look like for you now?
Well, I'm about 7 days into my new role, so really exciting to be a part of it. But I think the biggest thing for me, especially in this kind of 30-day period and beyond, is I have to listen and learn. I think so often we are listening in order to speak. We're waiting for our next step. So I'm really utilizing this experience to sit back, hear what people have to say. I mean, look around the room. You all have so much to offer. We need golf to look like you. We need you to be in our seats next time. So I want to listen to all the people surrounding me and then move forward from there. I think it's really special for me in this role specifically. It's more so the membership marketing side. You might not know this, but less than 5% of PGA members are female. And I'm now in this role as a PGA member speaking to those individuals. So that's really special for me.
You know, it's so interesting. I had a mentor, and we're going to touch on mentors. I had a mentor tell me once upon a time that you listen for one of two reasons. You either listen to respond or you listen to understand. And I don't know how that stuck with me. Like, you know, people tell you so much stuff and it's like, wait a minute. But does anyone out here have a mentor? Let's talk a little bit about it. Poetry reading. Well, who's your mentor? He's an attorney that has his law firm. Okay, I like that. Okay, he's a brother. Anybody else got a mentor? Actually, I want to ask a question. And I know the people at home, they're going to be mad at me. And Dylan, I'm going to come back with you. Who has a mentor? Okay, so let's understand something, because if there's anything I want you to get out of the day, too, is about the power of mentorship. What have you learned through your mentor, or having a mentor? What have you learned?
I have learned that I'm not always alone. There's somebody always there to help me and lead me to the right direction and teach me how to be successful.
What's your name?
Love that.
Oraya.
Oraya. Fantastic response. You guys know I don't love sitting on a couch, so I got to move. But such a powerful response. And Dylan, in your role, you've had to mentor people while being mentored. And I also think mentors change at different points in your life. But let's just go a little bit further about when we come to the career services and you're interested in becoming a PGA member, people come to you and they don't know, how does this process work? And how do you work with and mentor those individuals?
Well, I will give a shout out to our digital content team. I see him in the back, as well as Kate and her initiatives that she's led. The platform that we have now has provided an opportunity for these individuals in the room and outside of the room that you see out there to find access to us immediately, right? At the click of a mouse, at the touch of a touch screen, whatever platform you use. And so I think that's the first step. So that's our call to action, is our working golf site, okay? From there, we allow you to touch base with one of the 7 recruiting specialists across the country that then becomes that resource for you to help walk you through the understandings of what it takes to become a PGA member and/or work in the golf industry. And many times it can be difficult, or challenging rather, to understand how you can get your first start. Chris Kalinsky had to help you, right? And so I'll be honest with you, I don't always like the word mentor.
Okay, tell me why.
Because to me it can sound almost transactional, whereas the mentee doesn't offer anything. But as a mentor and mentee, that relationship, it is a two-way street. You know, so you have to be prepared as a mentee. That's what I had to learn, to be able to offer whether it was just my eagerness, and like I said, that ability to learn, to that mentor, and the desire to be hungry, and to gain whatever they were offering. And I would say, as a mentor, the understanding of being a leader, and providing opportunity and access. It's not just the words that you say, but it's also the actions. Can you provide them with an opportunity to be here today, to hear from somebody that may become their next mentor?
To that point, I'm going to use the word mentor, because
Okay.
I still believe in that word. Maybe that's showing my age, but I believe in that word. What do you look for in a mentor?
In a mentor,
Oh, it's coming to you too, Taylor. Don't look away. Kate, it's coming to you.
I think what we often first look for, and I'm just being honest, is representation. So somebody that looks like you, and it's not always in what we see externally. It can be personality. Doug and I can be two totally different looking people, but I like his personality. I like the energy that he gives. Thank you for the
compliment. I appreciate the compliment.
Absolutely.
I'm taking it. I know you didn't give it, but I've received it as one. Thank you.
I know you would. That's why I gave it. But no, it's just somebody that you know. A lot of times it's somebody that may give you something that you feel like you're missing. Maybe it's a skill set that you know that you have a weakness in, an area, and you desire to be, to learn and understand more from somebody who does have a strength in that. And again, having that two-way street to be able to offer them something as well.
Taylor? So I'm going to shout out my parents who are here.
Parents.
So thank you
Love
for
those.
coming. Those are my mentors. I look up to them. They help me prepare for this. They help me prepare for my presentation I do for my interview. And then, of course, Chris, and then, of course, our section, telling me the terms of what golf is. Because me being a non-golfer, I don't know nothing. So, but being able to know the skills, the terminology to be able to understand the game, understand what the event stands for, to understand how to go about being on a golf course. So I think that our section team, my parents are like my mentors. So it's like when you have a village, who is with you. So that's how I feel. I have a village. I don't just have one person, I have a village who are my mentors.
You know, it's funny you say it like that. I say I have a board of trustees. I have a personal board because I think we all change and evolve. I'll give you this real quick because I don't think a lot of people know this. My professional background started as a fundraiser. So I had Todd Alfred, who's in here, who does a lot of fundraising for PGA Reach. I started in a role similar to his at Florida A&M University, and then transferred. And
HBCU.
That's it. I graduated from FAMU, so shout out to anybody that plans to attend the HBCU or anybody that graduated from one. Shout out to all the 6 people. I appreciate y'all, 2 ladies right there. Thank you. But my background wasn't in golf. I just played the game, and then I figured out how to fundraise, raise some money, turn pro, failed, and then golf was a place that kind of literally I found my voice in. So I've been very appreciative to the game because, as we mentioned earlier, if you have some sort of proficiency in the game, it helps it easier, which is why it's so impressive, Taylor, from my seat, like for you to come in the game and kick the doors open. But I do want to understand what the hurdles have been for all of you as, again, we're not old yet. We on our way still, but as we're progressing, I'm trying to understand what are the hurdles that you've had to jump so we can spin those things into a positive.
Well, first, before she answers that, I'm going to correct you on something you said.
Okay, go ahead. What'd I say?
You said you failed at something.
No, it's okay to fail.
No, you learned.
Exactly.
So it's the way you think. It's that rephrasing. You learned from it.
See,
learned.
I say that very intentional.
Yeah,
because
my favorite word.
I do want people to understand that it's okay to fail.
Because you learn from it.
It's okay. That's the second part to failing. You learn from it. But I think in our culture we use fail as a negative thing, and I have like a personal vendetta against it. And I really want people to understand that failure leads to success. Was it Ben Franklin or Thomas Edison failed however many times? Now we got lights in here, whatever. Anyway, Taylor.
I would say communication. With our pros, it's always a challenge to get communication with them. But my goal, I feel like, to get over a hurdle with that is, that was one of our goals for our team actually, was to be more communicative. So sending out section updates so that every pro knows what's going on, and then also getting those emails. Another hurdle I would say is, of course, not being a golfer. Not knowing the terminology and all that was a hurdle. But because I learned it, and I wanted to learn it, it kind of changes. So learning.
Yeah. Okay. Hurdles.
The hurdles. I think it made me laugh in the back of the room in the previous panel when you said, or the group said, fake it until you make it. That is something actually for this job, or the previous job with the PGA of America. They asked me, if you could be described in a slogan, what would you be? And I said, fake it until you become it. So a little bit of a different spin on that. There's actually a TED Talk about that. So I think a lot of the times, especially being younger in the industry, you might not get listened to, or you might have all these grand ideas that people might not, pay attention to. But I think really developing those opportunities to get to know one another on a personal level and then expressing your ideas really provides a lot of opportunity to grow. So with being younger, you might be exposed to that, especially the people in the room, but listening, hearing them out, and then offering up solutions is what's made me beneficial.
And Kate, I definitely would piggyback off of that and say, I guess what has been the most challenging but most rewarding, or what I'm most proud of for us, is being at the forefront of this next generation of golf professionals, being at the forefront of the progression of the golf industry in the PGA of America. You are met with a lot of challenges and a lot of naysayers, but at the same time, our youth encourages us, and what the world we see around us encourages us.
But hold on, let me make sure I articulate this. Everywhere, every industry, every opportunity, not just the PGA or golf, wherever you go, any industry, you're gonna have hurdles. Like, it's just, that's a reality of what we do. So we're making this a positive. I want people to think like, oh my God, you come into golf and there's these communication issues. And
HBCU graduate, right? So for those of you who are HBCU graduates, we know we have our struggles with what? Financial aid, housing, the cafeteria, I don't know, you name it. We have a few hurdles that we have to go over. But at the end of it all, we are proud graduates, right? And we appreciate our journey, no matter what it's taught us or how it's challenged us. And the same can be said about what we do and being at the forefront of the next generation and next movement.
I like that you said that hurdles is not negative. It's
not negative.
But I embrace my headwinds, right? If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So, I'm embracing my headwinds and as you overcome those struggles. So I appreciate you all speaking to it. And Dylan, you said the word progression, and a lot of what the golf industry is going through, the PGA of America and the initiatives are very progressive. I think that there's a spin on the progression about the intersectionality of pop culture and mainstream culture and golf and how it intersects. How is that now created, especially with what you're doing in career services? Taylor, what you see, we have a representative from the Bills here. How does that now creating more access points? I'll start with you and come back around, Dylan.
I would say one, and I don't want to touch too much on Kate's specialty or area of focus, but digital content. We have AI, we have all these platforms and technology at our disposal to be able to provide access. Social media, especially, we see the various brands, some of which we're rocking, and you'll see throughout the day that individuals, how they're representing, how they're showing themselves through their clothing. So I think that's what's most special to me, is the ability to be able to show up with my full self and rock what I want to wear, and still be in an appropriate golf attire, right? So I would say, definitely a lot more different access points that we have today from even 10 years ago.
And the culture is representative in the attire, right? If you would have told me, and I've played golf my whole life, if you would have told me you would have seen Jordans on the golf course, I would have said you're crazy. And now we see our professionals out there this week.
Ryan Worthington, sponsored by
by Eastside.
By Eastside Golf.
You see a lot of that representation, and now I think that really permeates into our underrepresented audiences. Kate, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the innovation is so key right now. I think, to Dylan's point, you all are so familiar with your phones. The older generations have no idea how to even operate one. And they need to. This is where the industry is moving towards. There's so much opportunity. So I think having these more diverse perspectives is only making the game more accessible, but growing it in itself and diversifying the industry and the workforce in it. So I'm extremely optimistic. The fact that we're up here sitting, talking to you all, that's growth. That wouldn't have happened 25 years ago, but we're here. So I'm super excited to see what's to come.
Yeah, so just to talking to different people about Beyond the Green, and seeing how all the sports are connected in some way, to see different people from the Masters. I know there were Cardinals, I forget his name, Fitzpatrick or something like that. He was there having an interview. I probably said it wrong, but it's okay. But telling his story about how he played golf and got into it after he retired. So it's cool to see how all sports are connected, and then see Royce and fraternities doing different things. It's all connected in some shape or form. And I think that you don't realize that until you're in those seats. Being a PGA professional or being a Works Fellow, you don't understand that until you're in it. So
very well said. Very well said. We have probably a lot of Bills Mafia folks in here, right?
Yeah, come on.
Whoa,
Show
that
some
was-
support. Where are
that
you?
was really, really weak. But no Bills Mafia here. I mean, you see the most notable person, Josh Allen, is a member here at Oak Hill. I mean, he's probably playing more golf.
Maybe we
these
need
days.
a table. You know the Bills Mafia, they like to jump through tables.
Yeah, they do.
I don't
did
do
hear
that.
I
I don't
did
do
hear
that.
that. But it just goes to show you again how golf really does intersect with different sports. So I want to open up the floor to any questions for our panelists. Maybe what you heard before. Is there anything that you are just kind of dying to hear?
Yeah,
or
let's
dying to
open
find out?
it up. And if you don't have a question, I'm still going to call you out. So, any questions for the folks up on the stage? Oh, my goodness. Okay, good. People behind me got my back. We've heard from you. I'm going to hear from her. Then we're going to come back to you, Poem.
And if you could say your name again, please.
Hello, my name is Araya, and I go to Nativity Prep. My question is, you guys talk about golf, but how are you guys? Some of our kids are from like cities, so how are you guys putting them into clubs, into golf?
Really good question.
So I don't know if you've heard, but we have a legacy grant. So at each place they go for the championships, they leave a gift. So I know Monroe County will be having a learning center for city students to go to learn. And I think that they, at least for Western New York, we're trying to get, like, so Royce and Trina are trying to get more into the urban areas of Buffalo and understanding the problems with, having golf in the inner city, creating areas for you to learn how to drive, to chip, and to putt. So I think that we are pushing into the right direction of being able to get access for people who are in the inner city.
I guess what I would add to that is I would shout out PGA HQ, the home of Frisco, the home of the PGA of America at Frisco. That move from Florida, from West Palm to the DFW, the Dallas Fort Worth market, is huge. And those individuals that are working, in addition to our career services team, to be community partners with that Dallas market, I mean, that's just that we've never seen anything like it, right? I also shout out the Northern Texas section. I know we're in another section, but hey, we got to shout out the home team.
There you go.
The Northern Texas section actually has a golf park entitled the Ronnie, which is an all-turf golf park specialized for youth and the Dallas market to come in and to be able to use it and understand and learn the game and the skills of golf, also through leadership. But to be able to use it and tear it up and do whatever you want on it, and it'll be just as good as new. So there are definitely initiatives, especially with our move, like I said, to HQ, to be more integrated and engaged with the DFW.
And I think one thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this too. If anyone in this room wants to learn how to play the game, there's over 28,000 PGA professionals that are more than happy to teach you. And if you need help getting connected with those people, we are all here to help.
Absolutely, and thank you for that answer. Another question, please. There you go, my homie. We'll come back over here, because y'all can pass the mic.
My name is Mel. I go to McQuaid Jesuit. My question for you is, so like we keep talking about the obstacles and the hurdles and the barriers. Like personally for you, like what was your determination? Like every time you came up to a hurdle or an obstacle, what made you push through it?
Well, I'll say this. College taught me a lot. So how old are you? Sophomore in high school or college? In high school. So, and I can probably say we all agree that college really does teach you a lot. There'll be times where you're obviously on your own and will have to understand how to overcome, how to persevere. I'll shout out my fraternity. I know Mr. Royce. Yeah, I'm not 06. I'm the bruz, 1911. But hey, it's all love. My fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, Fraternity Incorporated, really taught me a lot about how to say no. I mean, how to overcome all those no's. Any wall or any challenge that I met or that I faced, I stood there and overcame it. But I will say, things will get real. There'll be times where you have to say a couple of prayers and ask God or whoever it is to get you over that challenge. But those mentors and being intentional about what it is that you want to do, whatever your passion is. Again, like we said earlier, your gift will make room for you, meaning that it will open up a lot of doors and it will remove a lot of those challenges and barriers.
I'm glad you brought up about the mentors. I was going to really hone in on that theme. A lot of the overcoming the headwinds is via your mentors. And I think, asking the question about what you look for in mentors really does help when you align yourself with great leaders like that to help you overcome some of those headwinds. So we are just about out of time. I want to thank you for your great questions, our wonderful panel. Let's give them a round of applause. And thank you to all of you.
Let's give a round of applause for our panelists, please. Thank you, Miss SP. I appreciate it. All right, so I'm gonna bring Rachel back up here because I don't know if Doug's just gonna walk off again. Yeah, we understand. You had to do number 1 or 2. So this next panel discussion is called From Whisper to Roar. It's about finding your voice and claiming your space. Now, the most powerful story that we can tell is our own, right? So how do we do that? And hopefully these magnificent individuals can help us find who we are and what makes us tick. So first, I would like to bring up to the stage the founder of Eat Off Art, Miss Alexa Wajid. Also, Miss Idris, also founder of Eat Off Art, Mr. Idris Wajid. Sorry. I think I'm butchering these names, everybody. Yes, I am. And also golf influencer and coach, Mr. Gavin Parker. So, one of the more things that, I feel is so important.
Can I ask a question real quick? Can I go off script a little?
Yeah, let's do it.
Seeing that we have children here, the youth, and they've been sitting on their tush for quite some time now. Okay. Can we have them stand on their feet just for a sec?
Of course.
Man. Can we do that?
Yeah, stand up.
On your feet. On your feet.
Let's get the music.
Yeah, on your feet.
Let's get some music. Do we need music to support this?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Cue it, DJ.
Good. So you can reach up. You can grab some cloud. You can wiggle a little bit.
So good.
Shake it out.
I got you.
You can stretch down, grab some earth.
I feel nice.
Grab some dirt. Grab some green.
Yeah. I'm getting warmed up already.
All right, shake out whatever you got to do because we got another couple minutes before we get started, y'all.
Yeah,
thank you, DJ.
Questions too.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
I love it.
Yeah, thanks for going off script. That was great.
I mean,
I feel good.
We have children, and we just know. I was like, yeah.
We could do it again and give it a golf lesson instead if you want.
Hey,
we do that too. We do have a PGA professional
we don't
here.
even need to use words, man. Non-verbal.
Where are the kids?
Hey, man, I'm with it. I mean,
you think so?
Absolutely.
All right, perfect.
So, hold on. Okay, before we get started, what are we missing here? We're missing some kids. Are they coming back, or what they going to do? Anybody know?
I think some of them went to do.
Oh, they go back. Okay.
Oh, we have a restroom break.
We have a restroom break.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Can
right.
we go off script and just pause for 2 minutes? Yeah, let's pause for 2 minutes.
That's the boss talking. So we're going to have to pause for 2 minutes, guys.
Let's pause for 2 minutes.
Q&A.
Yeah. Do you want to just off script question and answer for anyone up here?
Do we have any more?
Aaron's already.
This one.
Aaron, do you have a question?
We might need some spoken word or something real
Yeah.
quick.
Where's the poem?
Where's Maxwell at?
Maxwell.
Max.
Poetic
You are a
justice.
mess. No poem?
No poem?
No poem? Do you want to give a poem?
Want to do a poem real quick? Yeah, look, intermission poem real quick. Get some snapping some fingers.
Yeah. Let's bring him up here.
Now hold up. Now it's not. It's okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Ooh, civil rights. Okay, let's do it.
Ooh.
I ain't gonna lie. Give me a feel. It's been a little time since I've done
Center stage,
performed this.
Yeah,
So
center stage.
I don't know if I remember the whole thing, but we're gonna
Some
see.
support.
When I put this pen to paper, I think of my ancestors that decided to end their life, rather drown than deal with all this labor, getting their back swept with sticks. The master was too busy being caught up in the mix, and I don't blame him. It was either that or the sun would flame him. The master probably had a buzz from all that they were smoking. I mean, that stuff was potent. They would go out in search of a woman but meanwhile, Harriet Tubman helped them all escape. There was only a child, never taught about their ancestors wearing crowns, had to deal with their master not caring. And I know you wonder why I'm speaking on slavery. I mean, it's been abolished, right? Wrong, it's simply been polished. To be a slave now simply means slavery to the system. If only the bullet that had Trayvon Martin's name on it missed him. We can't even go outside without cops attacking us or shooting us. And they call that justice. Every time we speak up, the government just tries to hush us. And they call that justice. Thank you.
Woo! There you go.
Thank you.
Man, we
Wow.
almost have Def Poetry PGA Jam.
Maybe that's part of next year's Beyond the Green.
That is, get a little spoken word. So, piggybacking off of that right there, which was absolutely perfect, the type of this panel discussion is called Whisper to Roar, claiming your voice and claiming your space, right? So obviously, the most powerful story that we can tell is our own, right? And as we move forward to understanding what makes us tick, as we move forward throughout life and navigate through the workforce, I want to talk about the journey, understanding who you are and how you develop who you are to where you can, I guess just grow, like just grow in general. Go ahead, Gavin.
Wow. Okay. Great. So I'm the type of guy who likes to call his mom. Type of guy who likes to smile a lot. But the game of golf allows me to hopefully solve an epidemic in this country where I feel like I'm at war. I'm at war to capture kids' attention. Kids are overstimulated with screens. Kids struggle with making eye contact with other people. They don't know how to assert themselves. So I'm here to hopefully solve that problem with a stick and a ball. Instead of calling it golf, I like to call it G. And then the other thing I'm here to solve is kind of the parent-child connection, where you put your kids in a lot of like sport programs and they come in the car and they immediately put their headphones on and their tablet and there's no interaction about what your kids just did. Where my junior golf program, it's going to hopefully open up an opportunity that you can talk. But I guess for me, I just want to evolve the way people experience golf.
I love that. No, keep going.
So we're talking about how are we evolving by finding our voices, right?
Yep.
Or how do we evolve to find our voices? That was
Yes.
a question. Personally, for me, I mean, I think all of you have seen little tidbits of the past two panels. And one of the things that I heard people mention was, well, they didn't say it in this term, but like knowing who they are, right? And I'm going to interpret that for myself as being taking risks, because we're always in situations from early development, early childhood in the classroom, right? You are taught to conform. You are taught to be like the next person, have the same sneakers on as the next person, same shirt, same hat, same haircut, right? Walk in a line to the bathroom. Like, you have all these constructs. And one of the things that's been unique to me my whole entire life, even with my name is Idris Wajid. And I hated my name because my name wasn't Eric. Because my name wasn't Jordan, because my name wasn't Jonathan. I hated my name, and so I always was a standout in that aspect and felt odd, right, and not like everybody else. But it wasn't until, maybe my high school years where I started to use that difference as like, my guiding light to continue to take risks on myself to be an individual. So that's how I found my voice. I kept taking risks and gambling and trying things that other people weren't doing. and then that became like sort of like a purpose for me to continue to live this nonconformist kind of life. So that's my response.
Great answer.
Miss Alexa?
Miss Alexa, how did I find my voice? I started accepting me. I went to Catholic school when I was young. I went to predominantly white schools when I was young. When I got into the corporate world, I was with predominantly white men and males, and I had to muster up all my confidence and all of my strength to be me. And for a while, I thought I really had to fit in. I thought I had to listen to what they said about me, and I just had to be smart and do what I knew I could do, and I could make a way. But what I have learned through my corporate career, and then later on as we have become entrepreneurs and really bet on ourselves, is that I really needed to know who I was. I needed to accept the experiences that I had encountered throughout all of my life. I had to think about the adversity that I had seen and been through and overcome, because all of that was part of me, and all of my experiences have allowed me to show up for me. So when I go into boardrooms, I come in as Alexa Wajid. I don't come in trying to fit into a box or to fit into that chair or to fit into that suit. I'm gonna come as I am, because all of my experiences are what got me there, and all of my experiences are gonna give me the point of view that's gonna be necessary to accomplish whatever I am there for. So finding out who I am and what I stand for, that's how I found my voice.
I'm going to follow that up with this question, but also bring it back to our first panel, what was said about fake it till you make it, right? And I know she clarified that, and I love her clarification, but I want to add on to that. I think it's a little bit what I'm going to call imposter syndrome. And it disproportionately affects women and people of color because of the lack of representation that's, in the leadership position. So what you just said about finding out who you are, when you find out who you are, how does that help in empowering to use and find your voice? And I'm going to go back down the line on that.
One, you have to say yes to a lot of things that you normally would not have said yes to. So instead of saying fake it till you make it, I'm going to say yes because I'm there for a reason. They asked me for a reason, so I must have what it takes to finish this, right, and to accomplish it. And then next, I always look to, somebody mentioned their village, shout out to Taylor, because the village is real, right? You can't really get anywhere or go anywhere without that village, without having that support, without having that foundation, without seeing people in positions that you're like, oh, I can really do that. Tina Burris, she's the president of the United Way, one of the largest nonprofit organizations in Buffalo, in the US, I'm sure. To be able to see that and to be able to see accomplishments of others, representation, that helps you kind of put your shoulders back, put your chest up, put your head up, wear your crown, and just know that you belong and know that you need to take up space. That's how you find your voice.
Try to follow that up.
I don't even remember the question.
Right?
I'll piggyback a little bit off of that. I think one of the things I want to express with that in mind is, I think, what was her name, Tina? Yeah, so Trina. And Trina says something too outside of the, the fake it till you make it thing or whatever. But she also said that people are always watching. And when we speak to youth, my wife and I, one of the things, our phrase is, you're always on interview. That's the thing we say all the time. You're always on interview. So it's the same as people are watching. Your behavior, right, and your character and what you do around people, those are the things that you don't know who's picking up on those things. So at the end of today, per se, you may run into someone who's, an executive or somebody who's looking for an intern or whatever. And based off of how you've presented yourself today on these grounds and things of that nature can open doors for you automatically just by you being of sound character, right, without knowing who's watching. And so for me, that's, I think, part of my walk is that I have to look beyond myself. Like I look beyond myself because I'm not the things that I do and the decisions that I make, they're for me in the temporary moment, but what's the longer view? So the things that I do is for the longer view, so that way somebody can see the example, right? See the road, see the breadcrumbs, and then pick up where we leave off. Like that's the succession plan is what's most important.
Oh, it's wonderful. So Gavin, I'm going to repeat the question again, but I actually, don't worry, I got you. But I want you to add one more bit to it, because we keep talking about, I mean, I feel like I'm talking in a little bit of buzzwords with finding your voice. So it is about, once you know who you are, how are you empowered to find your voice, or use and find your voice? But what does that mean? What does finding your voice even mean in that context? Especially you being a digital, content creator, would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Wow, I'm so glad you're giving me another opportunity. What I did that first one, I don't know what I said. But I don't know if it was just like blessed or like a calling, but like I've always had like a calling. Like I just had this urge from a higher being that I'm meant to, share my energy. And for me, it took me a long time in the golf space to find that, because when I was a junior golfer, we're taught to, be still, be quiet, dress like this. And by the way, I was insanely trash when I was a junior golfer too. So like it was crazy. So I was always trying to, I'm playing in these tournaments, coming in basically dead last, but I'm gonna at least have a smile on my face. I'm gonna at least try to pump up the other kids. But it took a series of meaningful choices to get to where we are, but it also was a bunch of failing too. Like I had to go out there and be the only kid that looked like me on my high school golf team. When I went to college, I'm a PGA member, so I was the only person that looked like me at a professional golf management school. I went to Campbell, but thank goodness for the first tee, because it gave me an environment where I could learn how to celebrate myself and just play golf for the sake of being good, not to be the greatest golfer ever or be very elite. So when it comes to finding your voice, guys, just be really still, be really quiet, and eventually something magical is going to happen, and you can't force it, right, Will?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to kind of piggyback off that. As having this digital persona that you have, how do you ensure that you stay in control of your story?
Man, it's difficult, guys. I think for me, I really have to detox, right? Like I try to limit myself on the amount of time I'm on social media, because it's a great catalyst, but too much of anything's not good. So myself personally, I am so blessed and fortunate to surround myself with a team who can help me unload and can help me post and schedule the content so I'm not constantly on there. So that's kind of what I do, man. Golf's not that hard.
Same question. How are you controlling your story? Because I'm sure what you do can be misinterpreted throughout the community. So, you ready for that one? I see it.
Yeah.
You ready?
The double head now.
Yeah. So how do I control my story? I believe it's like two things. Consistency, right? One is certainly consistency, because if your actions, just like with golf, right? With golf, there's a routine that you step into when you do this thing, and that routine gives you a result. So you stay consistent with whatever it is that you're doing. For me, I'm an artist. So my practice, I'm constantly working on that practice. So that way, whatever arenas I step in, I know that my craft is going to provide for me what I've been hammering on it to do. And then the second thing is, particularly with my work as an artist, some people don't understand or can grasp the conversation of what is, say, a humane way of looking at black people. My work is really strong about getting those messages out there, like that representation as a black artist. And I make sure that I double down on what I stand on, meaning that there's a phrase where it says, love black boys even when they become black men, right? I have a mural that's 30, 40 foot wide that says this in downtown Buffalo. And I'm going to double down on that each and every time, as long as our culture and our climate still reflects that message needs to be said. So That's what so I doubled consistency and doubling down on what you know is true.
I'm going to add to that and say the mural also says,
It's two-part.
love black girls until they become women, even when they become women.
Love black girls even when they become women.
Yeah, so it's a two-part mural. But in addition to what he said, in terms of controlling the story, you have to tell it. You can't let anybody else tell your story. You all are here for a reason. You all have a story. But if you don't speak up, and if you're not being who you truly are, then you're going to allow somebody else to tell your story. And you're going to allow somebody else to dictate who you are, what you need to do, and how you're going to be. So you need to show up, and you need to be yourself. You need to use your voice. And what that means is literally just being you and being comfortable with who you are, being okay with taking up space and being on a stage, being okay with telling where you came from and where you want to go, being okay with shaking those hands and introducing yourself and telling them who you are. So you have to control your story. You have to share your story. And you have to think about what you're going to leave behind with the actions that you do, because that is part of your story.
Well said.
Boom.
So going back, so how have you adapted? Like how have you adapted while staying true to who you are?
I have broken the mold. That's what I've done. I was raised by, mother and a father, 2 siblings. I was told to go to school, go to college, graduate, get a job, work in corporate, retire, and then you can have some fun. That wasn't right for me. I'm the youngest child. I like to break the mold. I like to challenge the norms. But I went that path. I did corporate for a long time, 20 years, high-paying jobs. But something wasn't right. I always was steered away from whatever job or career I was in for some reason. A brick wall. I had to change. I had a promotion. A manufacturing company closed down and moved to Toronto. I didn't want to move to Toronto. But things kept getting in the way.
Yeah.
Things kept stopping me. And as my husband and I, we worked together, he would work and I would follow my dreams. I would work and he would follow his dreams. But at a certain point, we had to stop and be still and listen and recognize we had to do what we were here for. We all have a path, a plan, and a purpose. And sometimes when you keep hitting that brick wall and you keep getting those no's and it's just not working out, you need to go back and reevaluate why you're there.
And I'm glad you said be still, because there's a lot of the fellows that I have developed a relationship with, and we had a conversation just the other day talking about some of the opportunities that had presented themselves. When you say be still, I want to talk about the power in being still. What does that do exactly?
Ooh. It's multi-part. I mean, you can take it literally, sit and be still and listen to what's inside. It's stopping what you're doing instead of trying to push. You want to take this job, right? This promotion, but you didn't get it. So you're just going to quit that job and go to someplace else and get another promotion or another job. No, sometimes you need to sit where you are, whether it's figuratively in your career or in your school. Listen to what's going on, listen to the people around you, and your path will literally open. Doors shut, but windows open. Staircases closed, but there's another door. There's always a way when you just sit. And another part of being still is meditation. We meditate on a regular basis. When you're able to be grounded and listen to your own voice and listen to your own breath and be still, pay attention to what's around you, literally being present without having phones in front of you or televisions or radios or anything else, a whole world opens up.
You did bring up about the digital distractions, and Gavin, I'm glad you brought that up too, and I know you're immersed in it. So for you to bring that up is really poignant, because being still, it's getting rid of some of the digital distractions as well. I think that's really important for all of our digital natives to hear us say that. And Alexa, and I think all of us have brought this up, and we again brought this up in the last panel, is about nothing's linear, that our lives are a little bit of a jungle gym. All of us have had to pivot in our personal, our professional lives at some point. Could have been in college, could have been our professional careers. Along those same lines, and Gavin, now I'll start with you, how have you all adapted and evolved while staying true to who you are?
I'm not afraid to look silly or try new things. So obviously being a golfer, we have to adapt to our environments. For some reason, I think, we got to practice where you really just need to perform. So in order to adapt, you get one shot at it. So it's okay to do something different. But you have to adapt to survive. The word change literally means evolution. Like evolution means to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I'm gonna say that again. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right.
Therefore, the only time you should be still is when you're trying to be present.
Yeah.
If not, you're gonna go backwards, and it's okay to go back a little bit.
Yep.
Don't spin the block too many times. But you gotta adapt and move forward. And I think right now we live in an age with this 24/7 media scope that you get overwhelmed, and it's constantly changing. Technology's constantly changing. And I know my man Dylan talked about AI earlier, but we're now getting ready to come into the 21st century where the only people who will separate themselves are the ones who can come up and speak face to face with another human being and not just regurgitate some information. That's the future of what's gonna happen. Can you actually articulate your own messaging? Like, this dude right here is just spitting bars, and then his wife's up here. I'm just like, I'm so impressed. Like, the fact that I get to share the stage with you guys, you gotta adapt. So thank you.
Absolutely.
You guys are pretty much, you guys focus on building community, right? And I want to know, some of the strategies in which, starting with you, because I need everybody to get out their phones, not now, but when this is over, to follow this guy. If you have not touched a golf club, if you want to touch a golf club, please follow this guy, Gavin Parker. He has mastered Instagram and golf, right?
Bro,
So
8-second golf tips, dog.
8-second golf tips.
That's it.
And it's very quick, pointing it. But how have you incorporated building community in the process of your IG journey?
So it's really cool. I think it cracked me up that my little bio said influencer. I'm very much not an influencer. I'm trying to build something. I'm in Salisbury Country Club in Richmond, Virginia, the greater Richmond area, and I'm there to develop human beings emotionally. And I like to use a stick and ball in order to do that, right? So like, we live in this world with junior golf that all the outcomes are solely predicated on who can hit the ball the farthest or who can make the most putts. But for some reason, people lose sight that development should be enjoyable. Why does all development in sports have to be solely predicated to the progress or the outcome, where people forget that play is serious? You use play to create a community. And at Salisbury, we say things like this. People like us say things like that. That's culture. We're using play culture to have kids celebrate themselves, celebrate their own choices. And if you lose, it's not because you're bad at golf. It's maybe your strategy was off, or someone else got lucky, or there's an element of chance, or there's different player interactions. And I think that's what this game of golf needs. And that's what community means for me. And I try to use my platform on social media to invite people in that, hey, golf's cool, I'm just try it out. But most importantly, it's about, like you said, leaving a legacy and trying to create some relationships with other human beings.
Mr. Idris, how are you communicating community through your work?
Well, I like that Gavin said he uses, I'm all about simplicity. He said stick and ball. Yeah. We use pen and paper, paintbrush and canvas, right? Like simple things, simple entry points into art. We don't try to convert anybody into being artists, but we do introduce them into the craft of what it takes to be creative and to be artistic, right? I think there's a difference. Particularly for us, we've made art a way of life for us, as where we, are entrepreneurs in doing this. But again, it's the entry point to where everybody If you can write your name, which everybody in here can, then you can draw a picture. It's that simple. The difference, though, is that you may draw something that you don't like. You may not like what it looks like. But that's not the task. The task is, can you draw? The answer is short, and it's yes. Right? So it's just a matter of expression, and those little steps and those things like that is what connect dots in our community for us, because it's a matter of just overcoming that small little doubt, that small little voice of I can't. And we just click it on for people to say that I can. And it doesn't have to convert in art. It's the experience in the art that they can go out and do whatever it is because they got over that little hump.
It's about choosing. It's about choosing.
Absolutely.
And it's funny that there's a saying that I just recently read, is that when you're born, you look like your parents, but when you leave this earth, you look like your choices. And I'm so excited to hear these conversations, so these kids can have an idea, like, I'm choosing to go down this path. I'm choosing to build community. I'm choosing to make a better pathway.
There's so much power in choice, too. There's
Absolutely.
so much power in that. I love the way you said that.
Absolutely. So we're going to start with some questions from, I know you guys are thinking about we're in a windstorm, but we are going to survive.
We're fine.
Sounds like it.
We're going to survive. So any questions? Oh, man, you guys are the only two here the whole day. All right, here we go.
I'll stand up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Jamshel. My question was, you were talking about telling your story. What if what you want for your story is to change history and make a true impact, but that's just not it's just not what is for you. It's not your job to change your story or your history. What part, like, how big of a what's the relation between your pride and your goals, and like what balance should you have between the two?
Well, before they answer that, I just want to, have you ever been to a lake? Have you ever dropped a stone, a pebble into it? What happens? It ripples, right?
Yeah.
So any one action can cause a ripple, change history, and change a story.
I like that. Anybody else?
And following that too, I mean, it's about, you can be the innovator, right? And the journey of the pebble that you start, the wave that you start.
All right, I need y'all.
You may not see the completion of it, but this is what we're talking about. You started it, right? Now we're talking about what this room looks like. We've heard several people say 20 years from now, 15 years from now, we want the course to look like this. This is the start, right? So whoever's starting it, it may not look like that now, right? So later on, you've done your job by making the start.
And we weren't in these rooms. I mean, as you just talk about this room, we were not in these rooms. I mean, we had, at the risk of bringing up the past, but we have to learn from the past. I mean, this association had a Caucasian-only clause, but there were innovators that wanted to make change and wanted to progress forward and make those ripples that ended up being now what you're seeing today, as far as the diversity not only of this room, the diversity of thought that exists at the table, and bringing new innovations to this industry. Those are those ripples that they talk about that is so incredibly important. If you focus on what's ahead and like that systemic impact, you're going to lose sight of those little changes that are right in front of you. So then that is part of your legacy and your journey.
Great question.
And you never know who's watching you. Just like you're always on interview, you never know who you could be inspiring by just starting. When someone sees you doing what you do, you never know.
One of our fellows right here has a question.
Hi. This is a question for all of you guys. What are little things that you guys remind yourself every day that keep you motivated in making a change in whatever space you guys work in?
I'll go first. There's a book by this guy named Ernest Becker. It's called The Denial of Death. And there's a quote in that book that's crazy. It is, what got you good will keep you from being great. And when I read that, it scared me freaked me out because, once again, what got you good will keep you from being great. So if you're the type of person who needs to be motivated or aspires to do more, don't just settle at good. Go for great. And the beyond great's remarkable. Then, oh, they gonna be telling your story forever.
I'll pass. That was solid. That's.
Well, that's actually something, because that leads to what I'm going to say is this year I've learned to give myself grace.
Man, you stole my answer.
Sorry, you can still say it. I've learned to give myself grace in that I'm learning to say no. I'm learning to be okay not being okay.
Ooh, say that again.
Yes. I'm learning okay not to be okay. I'm learning that it's okay to show my feelings. I'm learning that whether I'm in school or in the boardroom or in the corporate room or with my family, if I have some type of emotion, I'm not going to pat it down. I'm not going to put on the game face when I go through the door to work. No. These emotions, respectfully, are going to help inform the work that I do. Because whatever I'm feeling at that moment, somebody else is also feeling it. Or somebody else needs to hear it. Or somebody else needs to see me express it so that I can be who I am and they can be who they are. So giving myself grace every day is really important.
I'm just going to echo that, the giving yourself grace. And I preach that to others. And as Royce was even preaching to me, I need to do it for myself as well. You know, self-care has become kind of a buzzword lately, but I'm really living by that right now. Between everything that we're saying of being still, being mindful, and I think giving yourself grace, it just allow you to feel what you're feeling. Your emotions are telling you something. Listen to what your emotions are telling you, but definitely give your time to just breathe, be still, and be in the moment, and to be present.
Absolutely. Mental health maintenance is so important. But we are in the conclusion of this panel discussion, so can we give our guests a round of applause, please? And thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry I pushed you.
Let that play, DJ. Oh, I like that. That's that Hove sample right there. That's where it started. Yo, thank you guys so much for being attentive during this Beyond the Green program. We really do appreciate it. As we begin to close things out, of course, thank you for attending. You're gonna have an awesome afternoon session. But before we send you off, let's hear from Mr. Karn, wherever he is. There he is. What's happening?
Thanks, everybody. I'm so glad I got to come in on the end of that. Because as many things as we do this week, there's a lot of cool things. We've got a big dinner with Justin Thomas tonight for his Champions Dinner, lots of receptions, just so much going on in the golf course. But this right here has become my favorite thing to be a part of. So please give this group another round of applause. I think that the time and the energy, I think it's just so indicative of what we're doing at the PGA of America, trying to bring new people to the table, trying to open our doors in a way that haven't historically been there, and it's exciting to be a part of that. So thank you all for taking time, making the commitment to come out here, because I know you've got a lot of other things to do, and maybe for some of you this is the first time you've been at a place like this, and just know that you are welcome here, and we're excited that you're here. So before we get you out, we've got a great tour lined up. We're going to show you a number of different places. Just want to give you a few quick facts. How many of y'all here from Rochester? From the area, okay. Do you know this is the 4th time the PGA Championship has been held here? I think that's pretty cool. It's the 2nd most of any club in the entire country. So to have this in your hometown, I don't know if you've heard people say this week, but the professional sport of Rochester is golf. And so to be a part of here this week, we're so pumped. And we have a great week. Thank you all for dialing up the weather. That's the only thing I can't control. But we've got beautiful weather. The forecast looks great. And I think what you're going to see here in the next hour or so is really cool. I know we got a great surprise for you coming up. But again, I just want to thank you all for being here. This week is all about growing the game of golf. These events are really intended to get some interest for you all to walk away here having a better understanding of how golf can impact your life. Now you can be a part of this game that we're all so passionate about. So again, thank you for coming out. We're so happy that you're here. We've got a great tour for you. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, B. We appreciate it. Hey, it's going to be pretty dope, though, the rest of the day. So ask questions as you go out throughout the facilities and enjoy it. Enjoy golf's second major of the season. Again, surprise this afternoon. Special shout out to Robin and Rick. Even Roger Steele is in the building, my Nike family. We appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all check out the Nike wall. Those that watched online, we appreciate y'all. We're going to shut down this episode of Beyond the Green. Thank you all. I'm Doug Smith. That's Will Lowry. We'll holler at y'all.
Hello, everybody. If I can get your attention for one quick second. Like we mentioned, we are getting ready to go on our Behind the Ropes tour where you'll get to see the ins and outs of what makes this championship special. So we do have a few group leaders for you in the back. If you can raise your hand, they're all wearing some of the same clothing. You see Chris Kalinsky back there by the blue board. If you could, this section, if you all could start making